So the Red Dead Redemption port released to PlayStation and Nintendo Switch roughly 2 weeks ago. Shortly after that came a bombardment of mixed reviews, some of them positive, but a fair share were filled with scathing negativity. Like most reviews though, everyone rushes to get them out in the first few hours, often missing key points or jumping onto popular opinions in order to fill the immediate demand. Not wanting to follow the same path, and after spending a couple of weeks playing the game, I decided to do an unbiased and in-depth breakdown covering the good, the bad, and the ugly of Rockstar Games' latest offering. In the months leading up to the Red Dead Redemption port release, misinformed fans had their hype meters set to 11, which was largely due to influencers across the board predicting and spreading false information about the potential for a full-blown remaster or remake, instead of the basic port that we actually received. While that wasn't the fault of Rockstar themselves, something that is in their control is the price, and when it came in at $50 for what is essentially a reboxed 13-year-old game, fans were none too happy. The misinformation that originally spread around the community had set unrealistic expectations, and with the price point added onto that, it inevitably led to a lot of disappointment. But for all of that, Double 11 Studios, the company that was recruited to handle the port, all showed great pride in their work on social media, and it was evident that they'd put a lot of love into the project, despite the narrow boundaries provided by Rockstar. So with that being said, let's have a look at all of the good things that there are to say about Red Dead Redemption on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. By now, I'm sure you've already seen the complex tech breakdowns by the likes of Digital Foundry, so I'm going to keep everything brief and just focus on the main points from a player's perspective. In a nutshell, if you're coming from the backwards compatible Xbox 360 version, chances are you're only going to see some very minor improvements, if anything at all. That received a patch some time ago, which upgraded the game to 4K, and enhanced a bunch of other features in the process. But in my case, I was coming from the PlayStation 3 version, and when compared to that, it actually does look pretty good. Shadows have been enhanced, anisotropic filtering was boosted to 16 times, and new anti-aliasing options were also added, including FSR2. If you're playing on a PS4 Pro or on a PS5 by using backwards compatibility, you can now enjoy the game in native 4K, and if you're on Switch, you can play at 1080p when docked or at the OG 720p when you're going portable, with the game itself also running very smoothly in almost all areas. So like I said, it's not much when compared to Xbox, but if you're coming from the PS3 version, which I'm pretty sure only ran at 640p, then that's a pretty decent little upgrade. But if you only own a Switch, well then it's a no-brainer, and it's certainly nice to have it included alongside Nintendo's lineup, which often gets neglected. Plus the port also comes bundled with an enhanced copy of Undead Nightmare as well, arguably one of the best single-player DLCs that Rockstar's ever created. Is it all worth $50 though? Well, we've just covered the good, but hold on to your wallets for now, because we're about to get into the bad. Arguably the biggest and most valid complaint that's arisen so far was Rockstar's choice to keep it at the original 30 FPS, instead of upgrading it to 60 FPS like everyone was hoping. That at least would have been an improvement on the Xbox version, which also only had 30 FPS despite the 4K patch it received. And while it's not the end of the world, 60 FPS would have made it feel like a brand new game in many respects, and I can certainly understand the disappointment that's surrounding it, especially when it's been proven to run successfully at 60 FPS when tested on a jailbroken console. It's a bit of a slap in the face. And look, I understand that it might not be as simple as all that, and problems could arise from corners of the game only really seen by developers behind the curtain, but it does suggest that it probably wasn't too far off, and if Rockstar just had provided a bigger budget, that in turn would have allowed the devs more time to tune it up, where a stable 60 FPS across the board certainly would have been more achievable. On the plus side, the current 30 frames per second is constant and without any dips, but unfortunately it does feel a bit stuck in the past, and it looks like it always will be. While the FPS is certainly a bit of a sticking point, honestly the main thing that stands out for me in the bad column is the complete removal of multiplayer. This was a major blow to the community and for me personally as well. RDR's multiplayer was absolutely legendary back in the day, so much so that it's still somewhat common to see populated lobbies on the PS3. Considering I already own it on a couple of other consoles, I at least still have the option of playing it. But a lot of people don't have that luxury, and I feel gutted for anyone who's new to the game and never had the chance to experience it. And when it's coming in hot at $50 for a 13-year-old game, the decision to actually start removing content is brazen to say the least. Which then leads me on to the other thing that I and many others feel is a massive mistake: Rockstar's choice to not bring the port to PC. Back in the day, Red Dead Redemption 1 never graced a computer screen, at least not through legitimate measures. Developers have stated on many occasions in the past that the game's programming was very volatile and was essentially held together with duct tape, making a PC port very difficult when the game first came out. But a lot of time has gone since then, and with Rockstar's goal of wanting to bring one of its classics into the hands of people who haven't played it before, once again neglecting the PC community seems counterproductive, and also very disappointing. The other thing that kind of annoys me a bit is the fact that a lot of the old bugs that were in the original game still exist today and haven't been fixed in the port. Granted, most of them aren't game-breaking or anything like that, but it's one area where you hope even a port will show some attention to detail. Again, I feel this is an issue of budget, and not something that I blame Double 11 for. Rockstar definitely dropped the ball here, and should have provided the time and resources that were needed. But whoever's to blame, seeing little bugs and inconsistencies in an old game that you paid a premium price for is far from ideal. So in summary, I'm going to refer back to the original question posed in my thumbnail. Is Red Dead Redemption a good port or a $50 scam? And in all honesty, the answer to that is it's kind of both. It's a fantastic opportunity for people that only own a Switch, and for all the new players who haven't had the blessing of experiencing this great game. Plus, if you've only ever played it on the PS3, the native 4K upgrade is certainly a welcome addition. But $50 when there's no remaster, no 60 FPS, no multiplayer, and something that's barely an improvement graphically from the Xbox version, it's completely unreasonable. And that's a real shame. In my opinion, Red Dead Redemption 1 has one of the best stories ever created in gaming, and one that syncs up beautifully with the prequel story in Red Dead Redemption 2. This was the perfect opportunity to introduce people who are only really familiar with John Marston as a side character, and draw them into the old but immersive open world that started everyone's obsession with the series in the first place. But with the steep price barrier, and the fact that it's not coming to PC, the wide-spanning positive impact that it could have had is sharply diminished. So taking the good with the bad, my advice to anyone who's interested but still kind of on the fence about it is wait until it comes down in price. Either that, or keep your eyes peeled and try to snag a good sale where it gets knocked back to $25 or $30, which is pretty much what I feel it's worth, and what I think it should have cost in the first place. Do let me know your thoughts down in the comments though. I'm curious to see where everyone's at now that we're a couple of weeks into the release of the game. If however you found this video useful, hitting the like button would be much appreciated, and if you're new, be sure to subscribe as well. I run a Rockstar Games exclusive channel, and I've got some very exciting Red Dead Redemption related content on the way that you definitely don't want to miss. But until we meet again, you bunch of legends, I am Red Nitrate, and I'll catch you on the next one.